Head of the Culture Department on St. Martin says they are busy with plans to establish a cultural award. Member of Parliament for the U.S. Party says he has an issue with postponement of parliamentary meetings. But first up, Minister of Tourism gives more reasons why she was pushing for the reopening of the airport. Those are the headlines for Friday, July the 3rd, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a packed newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Ludmila de Wever, spoke more of the reasons why she kept pushing for the reopening of the airport and the island. The minister said that the limited amount given by the SSRP has a limited lifespan, and it will get to a point where we can't meet it anymore.
SRP going up, and the fact that that was a limited lifespan in order for us to, making continuous cuts, making sure that we follow the conditions of the Netherlands in order to get the assistance. This is exactly going back to why I kept pushing for us to open, kept pushing for us to do it in a safe manner, because it will get to a point where the conditions are going to be so much that we can't meet it anymore. And it's going to be taking too much away from our people. And it's already been very hard negotiating with unions, negotiating with the companies. So the plan is we need to tell everyone right now that we have to stay safe, because we're not only limiting our passengers to the airport, we're also still, and I'll keep reminding people, still do not have a cruise industry that can cater to the Phillipsburg businesses, the taxi drivers, the tour operators. So that's why the faster we can get in our passengers from our biggest base, because comparatively, it's about 2,300 with limited numbers, reduced numbers from the airlines, from the US market alone, not Canada, versus 600 in Europe. While I am happy that in my conversations with the tourism office and the airliners, that there are additional flights in the works from Europe that has been ongoing for a while, and it's coming to fruition. Because now Europe is considered safer than the US in terms of their numbers of cases, we're actively looking to attract those flights faster than before, because they've been in the works for a while. But right now, at this time in my conversations with the private sector, I hardly slept last night, and I kept asking the question, what are your numbers looking like for your bookings? I know it's July, I know we're in hurricane season, and I know it's reduced bookings normally, but what you have to remember is that everyone's been shut down for about 4 months. So you had this huge amount of people that wanted to travel to the Caribbean, because we are great and this island is great. But the question was, we needed them to realize that we had to also keep our people safe with limited medical resources. So this, for the next 2 weeks, it's going to be a lot of updating, a lot of assessing what the US cases are like, and if need be, we are going to decide with the VSA that stricter controls are going to have to come into place when people arrive to our shores, because we won't be able to sustain it for more than 30 days, not even 2 weeks.
And as we continue, President of Parliament, the Honorable Rolanda Bryson, speaking at the parliamentary meeting earlier this week on June the 30th, said that there is a polarizing issue within our community right now. He said that the reopening of the island is a duality of a situation that makes it seem that you have to choose between the economic viability of the country or the health.
But Mr. Chairman, what I want to say today, and some people might not because it's a very polarizing issue within our community right now, but I think we need to really look at the lack of empathy many of us have in this society to what really is going on in St. Martin. The issue of reopening or closing is not necessarily something as to whether it's just about health or just about economy. It has to do with both. It is a duality of a situation that we have allowed, we as a people have allowed it to seem that you have to choose between the economic viability of your country or the health. The difficult task the government has, the civil service, the airport, and every single stakeholder involved in this country is to find the perfect middle ground between both. But Mr. Chairman, we know that perfection is a very elusive thing to find, especially in a situation when you're talking about a pandemic that to this day, people simply do not understand this virus. Even the World Health Organization months ago was saying, well, you know what, mask is not effective. Now they have come out and said, no, mask is actually very important, very good. Initially it was, oh my God, this thing can be extremely airborne. Now they're saying, well, actually it is very difficult for it to survive on surfaces. In the same way that our understanding of the virus is changing, it is the same way that our policies to react with it will be ever changing. And that should not, in my opinion, take a slight to say that, well, oh, look at that, they changed their minds. You get new information, you react based on the information you have. Mr. Chairman, when the announcement first was made, okay, at a press briefing 5 weeks ago, I want to give some facts to the people of St. Martin to understand. At the time, the United States of America ranked in the bottom 10 in the world for testing per million. In other words, just 5 weeks ago, they were not conducting as many COVID tests. The administration of the government in the US decided we need to ramp up testing. And Mr. Chairman, today, and you could see this online, the United States of America ranks 4th highest amongst large countries in the world in terms of testing per million. They conduct over 100,000 tests per 1 million citizens. That was not the case before. They have increased their testing by 500% in 5 weeks. Why I say this is because back when you were making a decision to open to the United States of America, you were going based on the same information all of us going on. Your only way to know if someone has coronavirus is if you test them. They have ramped up the testing, especially in certain states, and coupled with the reopening, of course, there's a spike. But does that mean the spike happened yesterday or last week? Or is it coupled to the testing that is taking place? These are the facts of the situation that I want people to understand. You cannot only look at, oh my God, there's a spike in testing, or there's a spike in cases in Florida. As was mentioned earlier, tomorrow when Atlanta wraps up testing, or when the Netherlands, who has notoriously scaled back their testing, and one has to wonder if that is the reason why their number of cases has gone down. Is it really that the number of cases in the countries have gone down? Or are people and countries willing to discover the truth of how rampant COVID is in their island?
Chief Executive Officer at the Princess Juliana International Airport, Mr. Brian Mingo, is responding to Wednesday's actions at the airport's terminal, during which he stressed the way forward for management, employees, and country St. Martin. The impact of the damages caused by Hurricane Irma to the airport terminal building and the economy of St. Martin had already caused financial strain for PJIAE. The resultant limited financial possibilities mean that the COVID-19 pandemic hits PJIAE even harder than other airports in the world. The airport closed on March 23, 2020, and from that moment onward, faced no revenues due to the impact of COVID-19 and a monthly operating loss of 6 to 7 million guilders. But PJIAE stays committed to St. Martin and its staff and tries to do what is possible to get through this period. Mr. Mingo says, we understand what impact a reduction in staff benefits with no bonus and partial vacation allowance promised can have on families who are already going through difficult times. I personally understand the financial and other challenges besides the general meetings with the union representatives. I have had dialogues with individual staff members to understand their circumstances and frustrations to see how we can help within our current limited boundaries, assured Mr. Mingo in a press release issued on Thursday. Unfortunately, I also see that a minority of PGIA staff members and people who don't work for the airport are demonstrating in front of the terminal with unrelated messages. I want them to be aware that this is affecting the people, businesses, and the country of St. Martin. We can partially understand that staff raise their voices, but this small group also have the obligation to keep the airport open towards the airlines and entire tourist industry of St. Martin, said Mr. Mingo. Going forward, we will pursue every effort to ensure that the airport will serve its tourists, St. Martin, the overall economy, and the people of St. Martin. We will continue with dialogue and consultation with unions and staff to come with an amicable way forward. I want to thank our staff for their continuous support to the company and all the good works from the last months with implementing all the necessary COVID-19 prevention and safety mitigation measures to keep our staff, tourists, stakeholders, and community safe, said Mr. Mingo. And still to come, member of the Anti-Poverty Platform says it is a moment to reflect on national and global threats to our emancipation ideals. You'll have the details to that story and much more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now with more news for you at this time, at the reconvened virtual parliamentary meeting on Thursday, July the 2nd, to discuss the IPCO meeting, Member of Parliament for the U.S. Party, the Honorable Claudius Bancamper, took the opportunity to voice his opinion and disappointment on postponement of meetings. The Member of Parliament also said that he has an issue with the cancellation of meetings. He said they prepare for these meetings and then these last-minute changes, sometimes hours before meetings, are changed. He doesn't think it sends the right message.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a problem also with the cancellations of meetings, Mr. Chairman. We prepare as MPs for meetings, and then these last-minute changes, sometimes hours before meetings are changed. I don't think it sends the right message, first of all, because it looks like it's a Mickey Mouse affair we are running here. We are having such a serious issue with COVID-19, the effects of COVID-19, and then the airport meeting is canceled for a committee meeting. And the airport meeting is done the next day. And I'm saying, why? Why is that? There was no added value. Absolutely no added value other than just showing what we're going to do as government. And I think that's wrong. You must not put people against people, because that's what the Dutch love to do. And we seem to be playing the same game of divide and rule. Mr. Chairman, the NRPB meeting, this is a meeting that has been postponed now twice already. But lo and behold, there's a media blitz going down by the director of the NRPB, explaining the community of St. Martin, oh God, it's not we, it's them. And yet the meetings are canceled. And I ask myself, why? Are we afraid to talk the truth? Are we afraid to state what's the point, what's wrong? I don't believe we should be behaving in Parliament this way by canceling meetings on convenience. Because the Prime Minister cannot tell the Parliament of St. Martin that she don't have no time for us. She answers to us. Let me be very, very clear with this today. The government answers to Parliament. And when the Parliament asks for your audience, you come. You come. Don't tell me when you have time. You come to us. Because when she needed help, she knew where to find us and ask for support. And I have always stated, when it's good for the country, I will support it. But this is outright disrespectful. And that I will not support. So, Mr. Chairman, I ask you to humbly send the message to the Prime Minister to find time to come to Parliament and explain us what's going on with the NRPB at this point in time in the crisis we are in St. Martin.
And as we continue now, member of the anti-poverty platform St. Martin Consumers Coalition, Raymond J. Saroon, quoting the governor's Emancipation Day speech as well as speeches by members of Parliament in the Netherlands, Mr. J. Saroon says it is a moment to reflect on national and global threats to our emancipation ideals.
In the Netherlands last week, the leader of the Green Left, the GroenLinks opposition party, demanded an official apology for slavery from the government. Two of the four ruling parties, D66 and ChristenUnie, they have both now said that the Dutch government should apologize for the role the Netherlands played in the slave trade. The education minister, Ingrid van Engelshoven, yesterday, in a speech that she had in Amsterdam, said that the Dutch government has not yet been able to prevent inequality and exclusion. And as long as one Dutch person discriminates against another on the basis of the color of their skin, then we are still witnesses to this terrible past, she said. The Dutch government on Wednesday announced that it had set up a special committee charged with stimulating the dialogue about the country's role in slavery and the slave trade. Rapper Typhoon, the former Curaçao governor Frits Goedgedrag, and former international football player Edgar Davids are among the members of the advisory group. Home Affairs Minister Kasia Ollongren said that the committee's focus would be one of reconciliation and a wider recognition of our shared pasts. The committee, supported by a group of academics, will make its recommendations to the government prior to May next year, 2021. What our government had to say on Emancipation Day. Yesterday, Governor Holliday, in his speech on the occasion of Emancipation Day, reaffirmed the emancipation ideals of liberty, equality, and justice for all. He said, by opening the path to civil liberties, emancipation created the opportunity for a better life for all St. Martiners, regardless of race, color, gender, or creed. He said that, my brothers and sisters, is the sacred legacy of emancipation handed down to all St. Martiners.
And as we turn now to news from our police blotter, the police dispatch center received a call about a fight that was in progress in the Backstreet area on Wednesday, July the 1st, 2020, at approximately 6:20 p.m. The patrols who were in the area immediately rushed to the scene. Officers encountered a female who informed them that they had gotten into a scuffle with two other females, which resulted in her being injured. The female victim was suffering from a stab wound to her back as well as small lacerations to her body. She reveals to the officers that she and one of the females had gotten into an altercation some time back, and when they saw each other again, words were exchanged. The exchange of words quickly escalated into a physical altercation. Paramedics treated the victim on the scene and later transported her to the St. Martin Medical Center for further treatment. Officers obtained the whereabouts of the other female who fled the scene in a vehicle towards Cold Bay area. The patrols were able to intercept the vehicle on Union Road. Both suspects in the vehicle with initials JR and LR were immediately arrested and transported to the police station where they are being held for questioning. The officers also confiscated a pair of scissors which were left at the scene after the stabbing. A golf club used in the fight found in the vehicle was also confiscated. This incident is being further investigated. People wishing to engage in these acts will be held accountable for their actions. And in this other story, on Wednesday evening, July the 1st, the St. Martin Police Force's traffic patrols were directed to the scene of a car collision which took place on the AJC Browers Road, where several persons were injured. When officers arrived, 5 people, including a 2-year-old child, required medical assistance. According to the investigations conducted on the scene, the driver of the black pickup with the number plate V3307 was overtaking on the Welfare Road and collided with a white SUV with license plate P2412, which was coming from the opposite direction. The driver and the passenger of the SUV suffered several bruises and were treated at the scene by the personnel of the ambulance. The 2-year-old child was also treated on the scene and was transported to the St. Martin Medical Center for observation. The wounds of the victims were not life-threatening. The St. Martin Police, through this medium, would like to remind all road users that the road is not only for your personal use. When driving on the public street, please drive for yourself as well as others around you. Reckless speeding and overtaking may cost you or someone you love their lives. Slow down, think before you act, and keep other road users in mind when using the roadways. It is in your best interest. Now, turning to our weather forecast for July the 3rd, 2020. Despite the close proximity of a tropical wave, a relatively stable atmosphere will continue to restrict precipitation across the region. Meanwhile, Saharan dust will be present in varying concentrations for the next several days. Persons with allergies and/or respiratory illnesses are again reminded that they should take the necessary precautions. Seas will remain slight to moderate during the next few days. So the outlook through Sunday midday, fair to partly cloudy with light haze. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, head of the Culture Department says they are busy with plans to establish a cultural award. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And head of the Department of Culture, Ms. Clara Reyes, is quite busy at work since taking over as head of the department. The department head told our news department that there are plans on holding career, college, and recruitment fairs, as well as a National Culture Award.
Several meetings. Our first meeting was in 2018, where we did like a platform, like a check. We brought 150 artists together to see, okay, where are we? What are we doing? What's the trajectory? That was in 2018. In 2019, we had a second follow-up meeting that was more pragmatic. We established something called the Artists Guild, which is like a guild for artists, so they can now check themselves, chart their own progress. We're also in the process of creating a National Culture Award, to recognize those that have been instrumental in building. This year we had a third conference established, but it was happening scheduled in May, but COVID kind of shifted us, so now we're looking to see how we can do that digitally, because people need to be educated and informed and understand to see themselves differently as artists, see themselves. And I think the best quote right now is Jay-Z when he goes, "I'm a businessman, I'm a businessman." So you understand what you're producing, your branding, your value. So it's more than just I sing in a song, but because coupled with all of that is understanding copyright laws. How do you protect your brand? How do you protect what you create? A lot of people lose songs. To give you a quick nod of example, Arthur Minchell, one of the most revered Caribbean theater personnel and carnival person. He's been instrumental in several opening ceremonies at the Olympics. One of them was 1996. I don't know if you watch Trinidad Carnival, they have these two characters. They call it Grand Annie, right? So there's this blowing stilt walker. Right. Do you know, you see me drive past a gas station, you see the blowing man?
That's right.
It came out of that. So that's a cultural tradition that gave way to a modern invention drawn from a historical Caribbean story. Here's the problem. When he was busy creating that design, one of his creators said, you need to copyright this now. This is something great. He didn't do it, somebody else copyrighted it, so he doesn't make a cent from all of those things you see on the gas station.
Example right here. The mighty Dow.
Exactly, So coupled, so you have to become more business savvy. You have to understand your business, your art form. How does it fit in this new paradigm? Especially since the world is talking about creative economy, you have to be a business person. Yes, you're still the artist. Yes, you have to connect to what you're doing, but you have to understand. And one of the best examples, I think, as young people right now who's business savvy and got it going on, Red Eye Crew.
And still to come, the 2019 annual report of APS submitted before November 1st deadline. We'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, in a press release issued on Thursday, July the 2nd, states that the General Pension Fund of St. Martin, APS, submitted its 2019 annual report on June 29, 2020, 4 months ahead of the legally declared annual deadline of November 1st. The 2019 annual report was submitted to the Minister of Finance of St. Martin, the Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin, and the General Audit Chamber. With this early submission, APS can ensure a more accurate and efficient current year reporting and further planning and budgeting. This also allows APS to further accelerate the cycle of internal control, improvements, and streamlining of its processes. APS has been working the past years on early submittal by streamlining the internal processes. This is the second year of early submittal of the annual report by APS. APS is very proud of this accomplishment as we pride ourselves on being a professional entity that adheres to the legal regulations imposed on us, which includes meeting our deadlines, and APS will continue to make strides to improve on a consistent basis, having identified these areas in our strategic agenda, ensuring that the pension scheme will be financially sustainable now and in the future, stated APS Director Nadia Cruz van Putten. The release reads in part. And with that, viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie van Putten, thanking you for joining me. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again on Monday. Do enjoy a safe weekend.